So, hello and welcome to the MSB podcast.
Hi, Tom.
My name's Thomas O'Reilly and I'll be your host for this series. This series sees me sit down with the partners of the firm and just get to know you a bit better and get an insight into your career journey. So joining me today, I've got Eamonn Sexton, partner and head of personal injury.
Hello.
And Paul Gallagher, partner and head of crime department. So my first questions to both of you, if you can just give us a bit of background really into your career in law and what made you want to become lawyers. Don't know who wants to go first.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Well, I started in November 1988, so I've been with MSB now for probably 30 years or so. Started with Sean on his own. He's the founding partner, and there was an office in Rice Lane and he called it Sexton's. And I'd spent 6 months in civil service in London. Came back, and it was around the King's Cross fire time, and I started as a office junior. Started with Sean on the youth training scheme, as it was in that day, and there was about two or three of us at the time. Sean, myself, Sean's secretary Sandy, and in those days the secretaries used typewriters. That's how long ago we're talking, Tom. And Sexton's, it was an office on Rice Lane in the Walton community and on the street. And it used to be an old pet shop. And it was the type of office where if it was quite windy or, someone was walking upstairs heavy-footed, you'd have pet seed coming down through the panels of the roof. And it was a small little practice, and and from there, I was taken under Sean's wing, and came to a point at the end of my office apprenticeship where I was offered an opportunity to go and work for a large, well-renowned chambers firm in Liverpool, and Sean said, "Don't do that. I'll take you on." And then from there, it just, went from strength to strength from my point of view, and under Sean's guidance and instruction throughout my whole career, up until I took over in March 2020 his position as head of crime and regulatory department. So yeah, it's been a long road, but a great road.
Yep.
I've never sort of had to do any U-turns or divert from the career path that I found, and just love. Started off doing many different practice in terms of family, did personal injury. Sean in himself was a full service lawyer, and I gained all my experience from him, and then started doing mainly crime. Then and from there, it's been great.
Yeah, excellent. And Eamonn, yourself?
Well, I was looking to pursue an academic career after I'd graduated in English. I was looking to undertake an MA, and to fund that course, I started taking statements in a law firm for a new type of litigation, personal injury litigation, repetitive strain injury, and in getting a taste of law in terms of that interaction with clients and this new particular form of personal injury litigation, I decided that I'd do the common professional examination, which is now the graduate diploma in law. And then coincidentally, at the same time, I was commissioned by the BBC to write a screenplay. So I reached a fork in the road as to whether to pursue a career in law or to pursue a career elsewhere. And I realised I didn't have much really to say in a dramatic sense or to be a write out type. So I carried on with law, and I was then fortunate enough Paul Bibby asked me to join MSB in 1995, and I've worked in the personal injury department there since until becoming head of department in 2009.
Yeah, excellent. So You've both obviously worked at MSB for a long time. Paul, you've dedicated your life to working at MSB.
Yeah.
So can you give us an insight into how the firm's changed, what it was like back in those days?
Well, from the old days with Sean, it's Sextons, 3 or 4 people. We then grew, didn't we, in terms of Paul Bibby and Dave Moore joined. Well, in effect, became a partnership with Sean. Had an office in Allerton Road, Egbert Vale, I should say, and Birkenhead. And we had the satellite office, didn't we, with Russell? You remember Russell?
Yeah.
Russell. And from where it is now, it's just a testament to the to the equity partners, how they've progressed the business from the little acorns, as they say, to a huge oak tree.
Paul
so
Bibby must take great credit for that.
Most definitely.
In having that vision, which Emma carries, and subsequently carrying on that torch, and Sean was obviously, as the founding partner, was left to pursue his particular specialism in developing his practice, his niche of criminal law. But then as the firm's expanded, it seemed to nurtured all this new talent, both internally and then externally, bringing new, fresh, young, intelligent people such as yourself, Tom, great ideas to make the firm what it is today. And the potential is obviously much greater.
Yeah. Gone from strength to strength.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then in terms of your, the fields that you're in, is there any specific type of law or any case that you had that was impactful, that shaped your career or was difficult to face?
We treat all our cases, regardless of who the individual or what the particular circumstances are, with the same professional attention, care and conduct. But I think in the case of my particular field, those cases where there is life-changing injuries to an individual, where there is more complexity to assessing the damages and assessing the effect it has on their lives, when those cases are resolved to the client's satisfaction, they're, for me, the most rewarding.
Yeah, excellent. And Paul?
Yeah, I mean, from a criminal law point of view, how I have always seen it is every single case, no matter what it is, personal injury can be the whiplash, family, this breaks up, but commercial, conveyancing and stuff, quite similar. But with criminal law, it can range from the shoplifter to being charged with murder, and every single case, when you get to that police station, is always different. And a lot of cases can be either won or lost in the police station. So it's a lot of pressure. And on occasions you have battles with police officers in trying to get disclosure from them, finding out what the case is, if there's a case to answer and stuff like that. And you do have your vulnerable clients who are at that particular point in time, and innocent clients, their whole life is basically at jeopardy in effect. It could be your career, it could be your family life, it could be anything. When you succeed in a criminal case, and when you hear the words "not guilty" from a jury, even now I still get butterflies in my stomach, because you've realised that you've put all the hard work into it, all in the preparation. You've instructed the right barrister. You've prepared, and the innocent client with this great British system has been found guilty. And the flip side of that then is that the client who is guilty of an offence, then you've got to apply your same professional standard and ensure you get the best possible outcome for that particular client as well. So from my point of view, it's never, I don't mind, I've never not really wanted not to get up out of bed and go to work. I enjoy it that much. Police stations can be 24/7. I'm available 24/7. Go to of a weekend to police stations and stuff like that. And even though I'm still the head of department, I'm now the head of department, I still enjoy that. I love going to police stations and representing clients that need your help. And that's it's always it's very interesting. Every case is different, and when you've got to get into the nuances of the law as well, it's in terms of particular acts and stuff like that. It's a good debate.
Yeah,
in my view.
Yeah, no, excellent. And obviously you mentioned there, that in crime especially, you're faced with a lot of serious issues. And how have you got any advice for those people that, want to pursue a career in crime? How do you get that work-life balance? Because obviously, you are dealing with these really serious issues.
Well, I think anyone who wants to become a criminal lawyer, it's not the best paid area, okay, in terms of legal aid or anything like that. I mean, in my view, there's no fat cat legal aid lawyers in criminal law, okay. But what you get out of it is, is the camaraderie with the police and stuff like that. When you have battles with them in interviews, like I've said before, and at the end of it, there's never an issue because you'll probably see them again in a couple of days and what have you. It's extremely interesting and it's hard work, and you do have pressures, lots of pressures on you with regards to what's going to be the right outcome. You can have old school clients who will deal, are used to it, and they know how it works, so to speak. And you have clients who have never been, involved in a criminal offence and found themselves being falsely accused. And, again, applying the same. I work on the basis that if it's a shoplifting all the way up to murder, and what's all in between, 100% client care, no matter what it is, whether it's legally aided, whether it's private clients, and, apply always that 100% client care. And like today, I've just come into the office after being away, and I didn't realise there was a thank you card from a client, and it was just really nice to read.
Way, doesn't it?
I've with him for the last 3 years. He was found not guilty, and his life is back to where it is. Well, to a degree, haven't gone through the trauma of that. But yeah, I mean, it's extremely interesting. I would recommend it. It's you've got to do quite a lot. You've got police station exams and stuff like that. Even if you're not a lawyer, you've got to go through the police station, accreditations and stuff like that. But yeah, I would recommend it.
Yeah. No, brilliant. And Eamonn, in terms of the, personal injury, if a solicitor, a trainee solicitor was looking to, go specialised in that department, have you got any words of wisdom for them?
Well, the personal injury sector is, and has been for some time, under attack from reforms in relation to perhaps its public perception, ambulance chasing, etc. But the most important point that should be remembered is that these people who come to seek advice or representation have been injured, albeit accidentally, by the wrongs or actions of another, and for which there is a fundamental and long-standing right of redress in this country for them to be compensated for such injuries at the hands of another. And unfortunately, again, a further reform is being introduced next month, May 2021, whereby individuals will not necessarily have access to lawyers to represent them. They will be expected to conduct their own cases through a portal. And again, it's not been widely reported, and it won't be widely known until such time as that individual has recourse to the advice or the expert representation of a lawyer, and they'll be expected to do that job themselves, which isn't correct. And there's other issues of access to justice in terms of how people pay for the services of an advocate or a lawyer, which have been eroded over time to the extent they now have to pay a portion of their damages, their compensation, to a lawyer, which was never the case previously, and raises a whole range of other issues, which may be something that a new trainee lawyer may not have the confidence to go into that or specialise in that particular field at this time, because they'd obviously have their own concerns as to the future or the longevity of their career.
Yeah.
But if they do, I can assure them, and I have a wonderful apprentice working with me now, Millie Dodd, it can be very, very personally rewarding to do something of service for another. And that's what satisfies me in terms of what work I do for MSB and those others who have that particular type of nature, I imagine.
Well, just on that point, Eamonn, when I used to do PI, it used to be a case of when you negotiated with insurance companies with regards to valuation of damages, you will get a low ball, offer, and you then have to put, you have to research it, look at, the case law, the type of valuations and stuff and quantum, and you'd be on the phone and you'd be negotiating. And how many times have we in the back in the day where, you got a right result because, you increase those damages from that conversation that took 5 minutes.
For no personal gain.
Yeah, for no personal gain.
You weren't taking any portion of that damage. It wasn't like your costs would be increased.
In those days, it was never that case.
It would be a matter that you were just doing that extra mile for the client.
Yeah. And just leading on from the cost side of things as well, with legal aid cases and private fee cases, is that if you don't qualify for legal aid and you privately pay, and if you are found not guilty, you will not get all of that money that you've paid back. You will only get a quarter of the money you've paid at legal aid rates. So the government, took a view that even the person who can afford his fees, and these are people who are not wealthy, but just people on incomes that are slightly above a certain level for legal aid purposes, that if you succeed or if you're found not guilty, that you still have that expense out of your own pocket. I think that personally is quite wrong. That if you want to access justice and the court or the jury find you not guilty, then you should in reality be, the state brings the case, so to speak. You've experienced those significant funds, and then you can't claim it all back. I don't know if you're aware of that, Tom.
I wasn't. No.
Interesting.
So it's very interesting. Yeah. And my next question was going to be, so the impact of that down the line, what do you think, for clients, that are facing these charges, say, or, they've had a serious injury and, is the case not going to stand up or,
if they have serious injuries, they will still have, obviously, representation, again, subject to a success fee being deducted. It's the more mundane cases, which are nevertheless still significant in terms of the impact they can have on a person's quality of life, where they will perhaps not be inclined to pursue that remedy for compensation because of essentially the technical expertise they'd be expected to have, and also to be able to assess what the value of their claim is or what their needs are. They would not possibly have that wherewithal to know that without appropriate advice. Higher value cases are obviously, again, they're something that will always require the use of a representative, an expert lawyer, but thankfully those cases are very rare in terms of their spread across the country. So it's something, again, I think a government would need to look at that, and perhaps after this latest reform, next month, once there is perhaps a groundswell of opinion when the people who are experiencing these difficulties will come to realise the value and the role of a lawyer representing them in a personal injury case.
Yeah. Excellent. And Paul, in terms of crime?
Well, I mean, you know, from mentioned on a fee perspective, I mean, just in respect of this lockdown that we've had over the last year, it's had a significant impact upon the court system, the criminal court system in particular. I think the family courts have sort of been okay, Tom, yes, but from criminal law point of view, with jury trials and what have you, that's cases are going off into the long grass. 2-day cases are going off till March next year. I have a 3-week trial that went off the other day till June of 2022.
What's the long grass?
The long grass being a long period of time ahead. Yeah. I'm sure you're aware.
I'm with you.
Heard of that. So it's there's difficult times at the moment. Hopefully we're now coming out of lockdown and things are getting moving on, but moved forward and it's difficult, but we're all as a unit, as MSB, as a family, we're all
we're coming out of it stronger, if anything.
Indeed, Tom. Yes.
All right, so, well, thank you very much. I've just got one last question on a different level. You've both worked at MSB for a long time, so I don't know if there's any, story you're willing to share with us from them old days, or...
Well, it depends whether you want a funny story or,
either.
I mean, when I first started, and I remember Sean, do you remember his Honda CRX when he got the Honda CRX? And Sean, when he first took me on, he got me straight out coming to court with him, going to to the cells of the main brides while in Liverpool Magistrates Court, and introducing me around and stuff and taking me there. And I just remember he got this new Honda CRX, and it was a really nice sporty type car, 2-seater. And we were going to Liverpool Magistrates, and he got in traffic lights, and he had to go over that way. And I didn't know where it was because I wasn't driving at that time. And I just remember he goes, "Oh God, I've got to get over there." And he just put the foot down on the pedal. And I just remember flying back in the seat and saying to myself, "I want a career in law. I want a piece of this." It was fantastic.
Very cool.
And bizarrely, that happened in '88, and bizarrely that memory came flooding back to me about a year or so ago, when he got his electric Jag, and I said, "Oh, this is nice." And we went from our wage office down, of course, still within the legal limit of speed, and he put his foot down, and again my head went, woof, and it just that memory flooded back to me.
Straight back,
and there's been great stories in office parties and stuff like that, and it's been. I mean, I've as I've said before, I've enjoyed my career at MSB and never wanted to move, and there's lots, there's cases I've dealt with as well, which have been high profile, and you have results, and it's been a long road, but not a good road. No real bumps in it.
Yeah,
and I hope that stays the same going forward.
Excellent. No, yeah, Damon. Yeah,
nothing to top that. We did discuss before we came in that networking was something we regarded ourselves as at the forefront of in a more, before we even knew what networking was, but we'd go out, we'd meet clients in a informal setting and build up relationships when we were down in Walton, which stood us in good stead, but also it allowed the clients to see us beyond the suit and as individuals. But it was
there was no social media in those days, Tom.
Yeah, we were.
I remember my first phone was the Ericsson Sony Brick. It was about this size, and you had aerial on it that went up like that, and the use of a pager. Yeah, no social media, but our networking back in the day was going seeing the locals.
And does that still happen, or is it it's
that's for the younger generation? Now, isn't
no,
it?
it is for the younger generation.
We still obviously we go to events, etc.
Yeah.
But there is an air of formality or of knowingness. It's a networking event, as opposed to that just very natural, easy dialogue between parties, whereby they'd remember you or what you did, and from that, then you may produce work that would be helpful to the firm. But on the same principle now, it's meeting people and showing them who you are and reminding them what you can do, and you never know when that person may need not just the services of that individual, but whatever other services we provide within the firm.
Yeah, excellent. And I suppose coming out of lockdown, that'll means more than anything. That really, isn't it? Building that client relationship.
Yeah,
back
it's
up.
hard to do it virtually.
Yeah,
we've all tried to do it virtually via social media and Twitter and LinkedIn, and that's to each and every person's credit. But again, it's important to get out and about, to meet these people, have a coffee, whatever.
Yeah. Well, excellent. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for taking the time out to come and talk to me. It's been great. Yeah. Really insightful.
Commend you on your initiative and setting this up.
That's very nice to hear. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.